You might think you've never met a transvestite, but the odds are you have. It's estimated that over 250,000 men in Britain escape the pressures of life by wearing women's clothes.
When I was a little girl, I was always taught never judge a book by its cover. I never thought in a million years I'd marry a transvestite.
My initial fears were that he was going to want to become a transsexual, and then he would become a woman full-time.
It's sort of like he was getting more excited about the fact that he was dressed than about the fact that he was having sex. Well, you know, what's wrong with me?
Dating a man who likes wearing dresses is not every woman's dream scenario, but in Nottingham, Sam is fully embracing her boyfriend Chris's tranny lifestyle.
From an early age, I knew that I was different, to be honest. You know, I'm not sort of your average 20-year-old girl. Mainstream things for me, so the tranny scene for me is just perfect. There's a lot more opportunity with a tranny boyfriend to do the things that I want to do, you know, like go shopping and get my nails done, and, you know, go and get my eyebrows waxed and stuff.
I just love being feminine. It's a natural thing for me. I mean, I love this.
Normal guys burp and fart and watch football, and Rach does the dishes and then comes and makes my tea, and it's great. She's like my best friend, my boyfriend, and my mum all in one.
So I'm really confused.
Right.
When you're Rachel, does that make you a lesbian?
I suppose in a way it does. I'd say more bi.
More bi?
Yeah.
Okay, but when you're...
meeting two veg is still there, see?
Yeah, you're like a couple when... So you're a lesbian couple when you're Rachel?
Yeah, if you like. We still walk down the street holding hands.
Okay.
20-year-old Sam met 39-year-old Chris when she took a part-time job in his fish and chip shop.
And one night Chris came out with, I look really good in a skirt. And I went, good for you. And he went, no, really, I'm a tranny. And I went, all right, and?
I think Sam was probably about the second person I ever told, but she was the first person that ever saw me dressed. I'd taken a few photographs, but he was this baby.
Which just sort of happened, we just sort of fell in love. Yeah, a lot of people doubted the relationship, you know, before they even knew Chris was a tranny. If you look at it, there's a lot against us. He's 20 years older than me. He used to be my boss, you know. He's been married before. And then on top of that, he's a tranny, and people just expect it not to work.
In the Scottish Highlands, housewife Sheila was shocked when, 7 years into their relationship, she discovered that her engineer husband Dennis had been keeping a dark secret.
Hello, darling. Nice day.
Yeah, you?
Good, yes, thanks. Been busy?
Not too bad.
Good.
It was quiet today.
Okay. What did you do at lunchtime?
Not a lot.
Oh, right.
So you don't mind if I get changed?
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
I first met Dennis where I was working, and I just sort of thought straight away what a nice person he was. And then I found out he was married, so I thought, oh, well, you know, no chance. But then I found out later on that his marriage was on the rocks. I'd been married before, and funny enough, I'd been on my own for nearly 23 years. And I never really gave it another thought I'd ever remarry. I just thought it would never happen. So I wasn't really particularly looking for a partner. He was into DIY, he was into repairing his car, he had a Mini at the time, and he enjoyed doing that sort of thing. And so, you know, he really was a macho man, as far as I knew at the time. When we first got married, everything was fine, and for the first 6 months it was lovely. It was like a new marriage, which it should be. But then he started getting very moody, irritable at times, and sometimes when you'd ask a question he'd snap a little bit. And I was wondering, you know, what was going on.
I hadn't told Sheila about my cross-dressing because Firstly, I was very confident that I could purge it from my system, and that the power of my love for her would keep me going through it. As time wore on, it took its toll on me. The desire to want to dress in women's clothes, it started to become overpowering. And it's worse than any form of drug addiction, because going cold turkey on it just will not make it go away.
I said to him one day that I felt that, you know, our marriage was on the rocks and that we needed to discuss it, because I thought he was perhaps having an affair.
My opening up and telling her, Sheila's initial reaction was a mixture of upset. There was some anger there, I think. It was more upset because she felt that somehow my need to do this made her feel inadequate, and that she wasn't satisfying me in our marriage.
I was upset, obviously, because, you know, I didn't know what it was all about, and I was shocked.
I made the decision that if Denise was going to come out, it was going to have to be at Sheila's speed, because she didn't throw a screaming fit, she didn't throw the suitcases at me. So, in a way, I put the ball back in her court, because she controlled how Denise emerged, and in a way, what Denise has become today.
Robyn was born in Chicago, but moved to Yorkshire 10 years ago to marry her childhood sweetheart.
My first husband never really made me feel good about myself. So for me it was a case of, well, if you can't accept me as I am, why be with me? He always hated if I wore anything revealing. If it dropped down to there, it was, oh, you're showing too much flesh, you should be more ladylike. And the whole thing for me was, well, what's your definition of a lady? He was ashamed of me. He married me because he loved me, or so he said he did, but yet he couldn't cope with my size or the way I was.
After 4 years, she left her husband and was considering returning to America when, one fateful night, she met Deanne.
I sort of looked at her and was like, oh my God, you're, and he's like, yeah, I know. And he started asking me questions, and I were asking questions about how long he'd been doing it, was he out with anybody in particular, and we were in there, like I said, about 45 minutes just talking.
I think it was probably the best way to meet a prospective partner, girlfriend at that time. There's no getting like 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, etc. down the line, and then telling somebody what you are. It's pretty much all on the table from the word go.
2 weeks later, she texts me and I text back, and that's it. We hit it off. It was like 2 peas in a pod.
You can be the figure of Kate Moss, and if you've no personality, what's the point? She's great to cuddle. She's a great girl, to be honest. Yeah.
He's filled an empty place in my heart that could never have been filled by anybody.
In the Scottish Highlands, Sheila's husband Dennis has transformed into Denise, and they're off to indulge in their favourite hobby, outdoor photography. Once Sheila had survived the bombshell of finding out that her husband enjoyed wearing women's clothes, she decided to support him.
It was difficult to come to terms with, thinking that, you know, it was sexual, thinking that it had something to do with me. But once I found out all the information, it wasn't me that was to blame, because it's something that's